Do you feel like you're always putting out fires, like nobody else can hold their own, and you just have to do freaking everything, and the world's falling apart if it wasn't for you? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about what does it really mean to pick your battles. We're going to be talking about when to engage, when to retreat, stoic choices, action, inertia, and when to just punch the other person in the mouth. And by the
Just
way,
shut him up.
this is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Brittany? I actually think this is a good one because, dude, it's like, I feel like nowadays people are either totally like not paying attention to anything or they're arguing. Like everything, because everything is like emotionally driven now. Social media, the news, like the news isn't even news, everything. And so it's like everybody just wants you to pick sides constantly. And then anybody not on your team is a fucking idiot and wrong. And
Well,
like should be killed or whatever.
it's interesting you say that because just the other day I was listening to something and people are like, times have never been this divided before. And it's just like, what about the Civil War? What about World War One, World
That
War
was
Two? What
fairly
about Genghis Khan destroying the
divided.
whole fucking world? Excuse my language, but like, it's like
Yeah.
times
What about the
were this
Spanish
bad
Inquisition
before.
was
Yeah,
pretty one-sided.
yeah, like times were this bad before, but it's just the problem is we just have all these addicts to social media and they listen to these freaking idiots like us talking back and forth and they just meh, meh, meh,
Yeah.
meh, meh, and they're like, it's divided, it's divided, it's divided, you're this or you're that, you're this or you're that,
Yeah.
and it's not like people, it's not
We
black or white, and it's
Nothing is.
yeah, it's a grayscale.
Everything is. And you know what's funny too? Like I remember listening to this the guy was like a sociologist and historian, but he was talking about he was like, it's funny because people always talk about how like this is the most divided times or the most dangerous times, stuff like that. He's like we actually live in a pretty safe world. He's
Dude,
like, yes, we have
historically speaking, yes,
well, yeah,
like
that's what he
in a
said. He's like,
crazy
yes, we
way.
have the power. We have the power to wipe out lots of people, but he's like, we don't use it. And if you look back in time, like per population base, dude, like the Middle Ages and like times before that, like murder rates were insane because there wasn't that many people. And then like these wars would come and they'd wipe out whole entire towns. Like everybody would die, you know? It's like, so yeah, but I think it's hard to have perspective because we live now, right? And
Hmm.
it always feels like you're living in the most important time. Like
Yep.
there's this other thing that I remember reading about that it's like common for people to think that their generations or something or their time periods, that's when the world's going to end. Because it's like that importance and that like
Hmm.
idea that like we're
Oh
the
yeah,
best
the
or this is the
ego.
last or
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, I mean, we're back. We talked a few weeks ago about not making any more episodes, but
Yeah,
it turns out that when we don't make episodes, we don't meet as regularly. And it's really important to me and to Danny to
it
meet each
is.
other. So making episodes is good. And I know at least one fan expressed that they really did miss the show that we weren't making it. So shout out to
Hey,
that fan out there. And yeah, so definitely we'll keep making them because it's a
I
great way
enjoy
for
it
us to
too.
meet.
It is. It is a good way to meet. And it's just hard sometimes to come up with things, you know? I think we both needed a break too. You know, you need breaks sometimes. We've been
Hmm.
doing this for a long time, so that helps too.
But now we got a new list of ones to do, so we're good for at least
Yeah,
20 weeks.
yeah. Yeah, we're good for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh
so
God.
anyways, today we're talking about what does it really mean to pick your battles? This is an interesting one. First thing that popped into my mind was the subtle art of not giving an F, because he talks about that a little bit in that
Yeah.
book, where you can't fight all the battles, but
We know I
it doesn't mean you need
but
to give up all of them too.
no, I think that's true. And I think it's also important, like, because I think about this, I think this probably affects most people the most in interpersonal relationships. Right? Because like, it's I see with a lot of people where like they're frustrated at work, but they can't take their anger out at work. So they come home and they unload their
Mm.
anger on like the people around them, right? Stuff like that. And it's like you're you have these feelings, they're going to express themselves somewhere, right? And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind too, is like, how are you in these interactions? Are you the one causing this? And also, as like another person too, like, we don't have to engage. Like, if somebody's doing stuff like that, you don't have to get angry. You don't have to. You can walk away. You can ignore them, right? And like, or you can talk to them and like discuss what's going on rather than like just immediately fighting. But I think there's this tendency to like want to amp things up to like the level of argument like immediately. And I think that can be really detrimental and also just a waste of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely a good point. So this week, I finally started listening to that book, Let Them by Mel Robbins, because I've seen it all over the place. And it really just frustrates me because every time she writes something, I don't want to read it, but then I read it and I'm just like, oh my God, this is incredible. And so it
Wait,
really,
what is it about? I've
it,
never, I don't
oh,
know her.
so basically, I mean, the title summarizes it,
Basically, is the whole
but she
book.
goes into, but there's a lot more under the rest of the book. So like, let them is basically just like, essentially choose your own battles, let other people do their stuff. But there's a whole bunch of other things in there as well. And she talks about like relationships and stuff like that. But essentially, with relationships, she mentions how all people are essentially, not all people, but the majority of people are just 8-year-olds in adult bodies. And
Basically.
yeah, they've never learned how to like handle emotions. And so they blow up and all these different things. And she has a whole bunch of really interesting theory, maybe not theories, but like methods for addressing problems like this in life. And it's very interesting. Like I did it's so frustrating because her last book that I've read was like the 4 second rule or 5 second rule or however many seconds. But I was like, I don't need to read the book. I see the title, I get it. But
Yeah,
but like
that's the book.
it was
That's
another
it.
thing where I've read the book and I was like, wow, this is really good. And it just keeps frustrating me because the books are so blatantly obvious what they're about, and I'm like, I don't want to read this, but then I read
Wait,
them and then they're really good.
do you know what? It's like, but I don't think it's like we're all experiencing the human experience, right? And I think there is a frustration there where like a lot of times the resolution to these things are common sense and simple.
Hmm.
But it's just implementing them that's difficult, right?
Yeah.
And getting a hold of yourself. But I think the point you said too about everybody's like 8-year-olds, dude, it's like we're never taught. Nobody's taught how to manage their emotions. Like, we go to school. I remember having health class, right? Remember that? Like, we didn't learn anything practical.
No.
Nothing that could like
Dude,
how
they
to deal with
scared the
grief.
bejesus out of us about
Yeah.
sex. Like that's what I remember. Like, holy cow. I was like, I'm never doing that. Forget
No,
it.
it's like terrifying. But like I don't understand, like, they don't teach people how to, like, grief, even, like, anger, none of this stuff, how to, like, process, because the people that are teaching you don't know. Like, that's the funny part. Like, everybody's
Hmm.
kind of struggling with this themselves. And I think that that is one of the worst things. And then, like, you know, social media and stuff is just teaching you to get amped up and to get angry and to pick sides all the time. So it's like it's so easy to be like, oh, you're a Republican or Democrat, you're an idiot, whatever. Like
Yeah.
you don't understand, you just don't understand anything. Like, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of silly because obviously they have reasons,
Well,
theoretically.
I mean, I was thinking about this today, how like social media is such a crazy addiction because it's like a hidden addiction. Like
Yeah.
cocaine or alcohol or heroin or any of these things, people are like, yeah, that's an addiction. Like go to a 12-step program, do whatever. But social media, people are like, yeah, but how are you supposed to stay engaged? How are you supposed to know what your friends are doing?
Connected.
How are you? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, but that's not all of it. Like basically all that it is you're comparing yourself to other people all the freaking time and it's just making you miserable. Like so many times people ask me if I have like Instagram or TikTok and I'm like, nah, because I don't. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because it's not good for my health. Like, I
No.
don't, yeah, I don't
Dude,
need
if I
that.
go, it either makes me angry or plus, I don't know, maybe I don't use it right or something, but like whenever I do go on any of these things, all I seem to see is just ads.
That's
That's
all they
all it
are.
is.
Every other
Yeah.
thing is an add. Yeah.
I don't understand like what the
Well,
appeal
you
is
know what
because
it
like
is?
for me it's just weird.
I figured it out. I figured it out the other day because essentially it's the cheapest form of entertainment. Because
Yeah,
every other form of entertainment you have to pay for, like Netflix, TV, internet. I mean, internet, whatever, but Netflix, all these other things you have to pay for. But these are
yeah.
free. All you have to do is create an account. You just need an email address, create an account,
That's
and
true.
then all of a sudden, just nonstop entertainment. And I mean, aside from mining your data and polluting your brain and serving you ads every other thing, I mean, it's free,
Yeah.
but that I think that's why it appeals to so many people because they get hooked. And it's just
Yeah.
this constant scrolling thing.
Well,
It's like they use the gambling thing where you never know when something good is going to come up, so you keep scrolling. And yeah.
well, they have very skilled psychologists actually that have helped develop these things. It's funny. I do remember like I used to use back in the day, like I used to use YouTube more when it first came out because it used to be a good way to like people would record old shows and then they'd
Oh
post it.
yeah.
Like they weren't good quality, but it
Hmm.
was a great way to like I don't want to watch like I don't know cartoons or something or a show I hadn't seen in a while, and
Yeah.
it was a great way to watch it. But like even on there, like I always search for something. Like I don't usually go on there and just scroll. I don't really like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird though. But
Mm.
I could see getting sucked in because I see so many people do it. They'll sit down like on a couch and then like an
Dude,
hour
and
and a
then,
half, 2 hours passes, and they're just like, it's
well,
so
I
weird.
mean, that's the thing is like they talk about like a whole bunch of young generation I talk with always like I guess in an offhanded manner mentions how they just got stuck into doom scrolling. And it's like, well, what do you realize like that's a really, really bad habit and it's easy to cut out? Like just stop using these things.
Well, this is the other thing though, right? About picking your battles. Like, I think most people are aware that it's not good for them to a point. Like, they might not admit it, but they are aware of it. And like, it's funny how like, even aware of it, they won't stop using it. Like, okay, like
Hmm.
I'll give you a very explicit example, but like someone I know, they wake up in the morning and they always go on Facebook and they look at news stories and then they get agitated and angry about politics and stuff. And I was like, so just stop looking at it in the
Hmm.
morning. Like, why start your day that way? Like,
Yeah.
you have the power to do that, to not look at it.
Hmm.
And and I think this is like one of our problems is like there's this feeling like I guess people feel like they don't have that power or they are. I mean, addiction is hard too because like
Well,
you're
but
stuck with it,
I mean,
right?
you make a great point there, how people like start their day by looking at this stuff and just get pissed off because you really only have like so much emotional reserve before.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of you are Superman or Superwoman, but like I know myself,
I
like
don't.
I can up to a certain point, I'm okay, but then like the wires are frayed and anything will just set me off. And so I try
Dude, you
not
remember
to.
working, sorry, do you
Yeah.
remember working like retail? That used to exhaust me
Hmm.
because you'd have to be like, decent to people
Yeah.
for like a whole shift. And like it was so tiring to do that, like amazingly tiring, how much it wore you out, just like trying to be nice
I can't even
and not,
imagine nowadays because they lay off like all the staff, so every store you go into only has like one person working, and they've got to serve everyone.
dude,
And
I literally went into this is no lie. I went into a Petco. This was about 8 months ago. I haven't gone there since. Petcos are huge.
yeah,
Right? And I couldn't find anybody. I see this kid at the register. And I'm like, hey, I was looking for this thing. Can you? He's like, oh, I can't help you with that. I was like, okay, why not? He's like, I'm the only person here. And I was like, he was 17. I was like, what?
dude, that's
Like one person.
crazy.
That's like a warehouse.
I know. Well, dude, I mean, blame the laws for that, where they're like, you can
Yeah.
steal anything under $200 and we don't even care.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Who
And
gives a
besides, like
shit?
$200, $1,000, nobody's really counting. So just, take whatever, fill up your cart, just walk out. There's only one employee. Have fun.
And he's terrified.
Yeah, he's not gonna stop you. Yeah. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
God.
So anyways,
Sorry, go ahead.
getting back to picking your own battles, it's like if you use up your whole emotional reserve first thing in the morning. Like I know a kid who works at the office that I work at who commutes 2 hours to the office and he spends 2 hours scrolling through whatever garbage there is. So by the time he gets there, he's just like in a miserable mood. And I'm like, dude, just don't. Like
Yeah.
you'd be better off doing anything. But the thing is, it's a very, very cheap form of entertainment. Like he doesn't have, because he's on the lower end of income in terms of his job, he doesn't have the extra money to pay for other types of entertainment. And
Yeah, streaming services, all that stuff's
I mean,
expensive, right?
he
And even
doesn't
they
get a
add.
library card, I guess, because there's a
Yeah,
ton of free
right.
entertainment. But it's like people don't want to read books. They don't want to go to a library. Like I think
We know it's
another
crazy.
issue.
Libraries offer lots of other stuff now too. You can get like technology, you can rent devices, you can get all kinds of stuff. Like I think that's the funny thing. Like it's because it's so accessible. That's the other thing. These things are right on your phone. It's
Hmm.
so easy to use. Like even like, everything's advertising to you, but yeah, but it's free. Like the games,
Hmm.
social media, all this stuff. It's very easy. Everybody has a phone, whereas like going to the library, that's an extra step. Like all these things take extra work, and I think that's
Yeah.
part of the problem too.
Well, I think there's also this other thing that doesn't bother me that much, and I don't think it bothers you that much, but it's like this idea of wanting to always stay on the cutting edge, the forefront, know the news immediately when it happens, be the first person that knows
Yeah.
all about it, everything about it, and like not only that, but also, appear very good compared to all. You have to look good to all of your
Yeah.
everybody else needs to, and so it's just like I could care less about that stuff. Uh, I mean, who knows? Maybe psychologically I care too much about it and I pretend not to care about it. So we'll kind of see. But the thing is, by not pursuing that stuff, it just that's a battle I've chosen not to fight because I'm just like there
Exactly,
will always
right?
be people who are better than me, who look better than me, who have more money than me, do all this stuff. And I'm just like I'm not going to fight that battle. And knowing everything that's going on, I stopped watching the news years ago and I don't care.
Well, again, I think like if you go back in time to like before the internet, like 80s and stuff, early 90s,
Hmm.
the news is on twice a day for half an hour and you had the newspaper, right? So staying informed really meant like having breakfast, flipping through a newspaper, watching a half-hour show, and you'd be pretty up to date on like current events and most local events, right? Because like you'd have the
Hmm.
top things, but it was factual based pretty much information. And I
Yeah.
think that idea of being like a good citizen, being informed made sense back then. But with the 24-hour cycle and stuff, it doesn't because you can't keep up. And it's all just opinion anyway. It's not even like you're getting any more information, you know?
Nope.
But I think that's the hard thing for people is like, and it does take a lot of effort. Like I know with myself, like when I feel myself getting angry and stuff, I always just like stop myself. I'm like, does this make sense or is it worth it? And 99.9% of the time, it's not.
Hmm.
Like it's not worth it. It's gonna make me upset. I'm gonna be agitated. It's gonna mess up my day. Like I don't see a reason to do it. Like it's very rare that I get angry. So it's like I think it's just stopping yourself too and being aware of it. But it takes practice of like recognizing when you're starting to get in that mood too. And where
Hmm.
it's finding the source too. I think that's the other thing people don't do is they don't like identify why they're angry. Like, did something happen at work? Do you feel like you're not getting listened to? Is, your kids being shitty? Is it like, I don't know, what is it? But like identifying that and then addressing that rather than, you know, just letting yourself blow up at things. But
Hmm.
that's like that emotional intelligence. It takes time to learn these things. I think that's the hard part too, because it's so much
Hmm.
easier just to like distract yourself.
Yeah. And if it's not something you got growing up from your parents, it's something that you actually have to do. Because most
Well,
parents have no idea because their parents didn't know and their parents
yeah.
didn't know after that. So everybody's just living this thing until the first generation that breaks it.
You know what always impressed me was Aristotle says that like he talks about virtue and he says, it's important to have a good upbringing because you'll be more likely to be virtuous if you have a firm foundation. And I always like that idea because it's like he's not saying if you have a bad upbringing, you're taught, vice or like you're not taught virtue really, you can still be virtuous. It's just going to take a lot of work
Hmm.
once you become a rational adult because you're going to have to make a lot of choices. You're going to have to change a lot of things about yourself. You're going to have to habituate a lot of things that weren't already
Hmm.
habituated, change your character. And so I think that's like very true though, because for most of us, right, like all of our upbringings miss something,
Hmm.
whether it's emotion, how to deal with emotions, whether it's whatever, right, finances. And so when you get to be an adult, you have all these gaps that you have to fill and it's not easy, right? So it
Yeah.
like takes a lot of self-awareness and work to actually fill those things and fix it.
Yeah, and it's very difficult in the society or the familial structure that we have nowadays, at least in America, because
Yeah.
Uh, in that book, Let Them, Mel Robbins was talking about how she's been working on herself and her emotional stuff for years, and now in her mid 50s, she finally feels like she's starting to get a handle on it. And I was like, that's really interesting because back in the day, you used to live with your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, maybe your great grandparents. So you had those older people who could handle the emotional stuff that when there were outbursts from the younger people, they would be there to like console them and deal with them in a rational manner. But nowadays, people have their kids in their 20s or 30s. They have no idea what's going on. They're struggling to make ends meet, and they don't
Yeah.
have time or emotional energy to deal with outbursts from children that need, compassion.
Plus, both people are working.
Hmm.
You don't have like I think that's the other difference because I remember that too. Like I remember being younger. Like my mom was home, my dad worked. So if there's a bad day at work, like the other person can take some of that burden so they don't have to deal with it when they get home and they can relax and not flip out at the kids or whatever, right?
Hmm.
But when both people are working, they both go home tired, it's like then you have this whole thing to deal with of like family, stuff like that, and there's no help. Like you
Hmm.
said, like right back in the day, people had pretty much intergenerational homes or like people that like their family lived really close by. So it's easy to get that help. And I
Hmm.
think that's the other thing we lack is like that individualism. It's great in some respects, but it also
It's
means we
great.
really
It's
don't have
great
community.
theoretically.
Yeah.
Theoretically, it's great, but in practice,
We
maybe
have like
not so
no
much.
community or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that also makes it hard.
Hmm. Cool. So, picking your own battles. Anything else we want to say about it?
I guess I would say the hard thing about so picking your own battles really, I guess another way to say that is like it's working on yourself, right?
Mm,
I mean, that's really what it is. It's like it's being more self-aware and figuring out like what gets my goat and what like makes me agitated, angry, and starting to work on those things so you can stop doing that and address these things in a healthy way. Because like
hmm
I think also like Nietzsche makes it, I always liked what he said too. Like any of our drives, like our emotions, our feelings that we don't express outwardly, we express inwardly against ourselves. Like
mm,
guilt, self-hate, all that stuff stems from, being unable to express things in the world. Because all these things have to be actualized. So finding healthy ways to do it. But that means taking time, working on yourself, and none of that's easy.
hmm
So I think it's like it's recognizing that it's not going to be easy. You're going to
Yeah.
make mistakes. There's going to be failures along the way, but if you work on it, it's like way better
Mm,
than the
yeah.
alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, just like it's a lot easier to accumulate stuff than to get rid of it. And
Yeah.
it's like the same type of stuff with your mo your emotions and just like stuff going on in life. Because every once in a while I get like really overwhelmed. And when I
Yeah.
do that, I notice it takes me a little while, but I eventually notice that I'm up to way too many things. Like I start writing and it's somewhere between like 30 and 60 things that I'm trying to accomplish at the same
Yeah.
time. And it's like no wonder I'm feeling this way. And so then kind of
I just went through that where I just realized like I was like, oh, I just need a break.
hmm
Like I've been pushing myself too hard. I've been stressed out and like I haven't admitted it to myself
hmm
because that happens to all of us, right? It's
yeah.
hard to realize these things in when you're in the moment. Yeah,
hmm
I think that's a really good point. Yeah. You end up
yeah.
being too many things involved in your life, right?
Yeah, too many stakes in the fire, and eventually trying to figure out which ones are the most important for this season, like temporarily,
Yeah.
whether this season lasts a month, a few months, a year, whatever it is, but like which ones are the most important ones now, and then letting the other things come if they come and or but not worrying as much about them.
I think what we've basically been saying too, and I think this is true, is like to choose your own battles correctly, it just requires knowing yourself.
Mm.
It's the same as like making good choices, right? And that's the hard part. We have to know
Uh-huh.
ourselves, but it's so much easier to distract ourselves from that self-knowledge.
Uh, if only the Oracle of Delphi had written that.
I know,
Know
right?
thyself. Anyways, there you have it. Another great episode of the Existential Stoic Podcast. We're happy to be back. Happy to be spending
Yeah.
time with you, Danny. And
Likewise.
we're
Love it.
also happy to be podcasting and YouTubing to all of you across the states, the world, wherever you listen from. So, anyways, thanks for joining us again today. Until the next time, this is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.